05 October 19th, or for those less inclined, October 5th, 2019. Today's vlog, video log, will be about Clifford Pitts. Now, apparently there's 3 videos of Clifford Pitts. One unknown during 2012, and then 2 on April 6, 2012. Both of those videos having the same name, first name asswipe, last name shit eater, but one being far more popular than the other, as one has got 8.3 thousand views and another has gotten 3.4 million views. So, before we go on, let's give a little background about Mr. Clifford Pitts. Prior to this date, he had been arrested for assault on many occasions. Assault, aggravated assault. He had been convicted of a felony. He had been arrested for a felon with a firearm. He had domestic battery. Just a bunch of assault charges. Had a charge of cocaine with possession of cocaine with intent to distribute, and possession of marijuana with intent to distribute. And he's had some other charges. And I know on April 22nd, he got arrested for some kind of battery again. I'm not gonna. Hold on. Let's go back. What date is this one? On 5/24/2010, no. Well, needless to say, on April 22nd, he got arrested for some kind of battery. But now let's talk about a bit about Mr. Clifford Pitts. My understanding that he was a part of the Broad Street Boys organization, whether they were street gang, loosely affiliated, drug crew, I don't know. But my understanding of the Broad Street Boys through Facebook posts and things of that nature, word on the street and things that I observed, is I understood them to sell drugs. Okay. So we'll probably make a little playlist with a 3-video playlist with Mr. Clifford Pitts, and I will put that link in the description box, because I'm pretty sure the unknown date is before April 6, 2012. I'm not absolutely sure, but I'm pretty sure, because I'm reasonably sure that after April 6, 2012, I didn't have any problems with Mr. Clifford Pitts up until the day that he was arrested, I guess, and was no longer around. Because I know he went away for a while, and then one day he popped up in 2013. So, let's talk about April 6, 2012. Okay. And we're specifically going to talk about the one with 3.4 million views, because that's the one I took the most criticism on. And the way I handled the situation, because nobody likes the way I handle situations. You're supposed to de-escalate. You're too aggressive. Okay, tells me that you don't understand a lot about the environment. So let me explain some things to you. So right around this time period, everybody was challenging me in any old kind of way that they could. They were challenging my authority to do anything. Almost everybody, without fail. You know, they just simply wouldn't comply and move the hell on. So, okay. So when I look at these videos, it looks like, even though 2 of them have the same name, I went ahead and criminally trespassed him. I didn't watch that video, I'm not sure, but it's probably what I did. Right? I probably criminally trespassed Mr. Clifford Pitts. He probably didn't like it. He was going to show his behind. He's going to show his ass. And he was going to see what I was all about. He's trying to impose his will upon me. I was going to impose my will upon him. So, I have had previous conversations with Mr. Clifford Pitts about him loitering in the mall with no purpose. About him loitering in front of the doors, and about him loitering in front of the building. I've had conversations about him. Told people, because this is what I usually do. This is what I did. I know I did this. I told him well ahead of time what I was going to do. I mean, not like an hour ahead of time, a day ahead of time, because people don't always like to adjust, right? So you want to give them a period of adjustment. And so, my general strategy was to tell you what I was going to do and tell you when I was going to start instituting these policies, and give you a week or two so you can make these adjustments. And then if you didn't make these adjustments, then I was going to go ahead and have to enforce these policies, right? So we roll around to April 6, 2012. I probably criminally trespassed him, told him to get off the property. That's why he was standing outside the door. Him and Mr. Horace Manson. Now, once again, Mr. Pitts, Clifford Pitts, had proved to be obstinate, defiant, and just challenging. That's what he was. And so I rolled up on him, and as you can see, I asked him to leave. You're not going to leave. You're not going to leave. He's ignoring me as if I don't exist. And so I decided to move him. Well, you can't do that. That's a lot of criticism. You can't put your hands on people. You're always putting your hands on people. Please refer to Georgia 16-3-24. And while you're at it, please refer to Georgia 16-3-24.2, because that holds me immune from prosecution. And while I don't have the code, and it's not a criminal code, it's tort law, something about premise liability and my responsibilities to control the interest ways and the approaches to the business, that I have that latitude because of tort law. And I think it's 51-1-3, maybe 51-1-4. But look, just look up premise liability, Georgia statute. Georgia statute for premise liability. Okay. And you look up some case law while you're at it. Just Georgia case law for premise liability in the state of Georgia, or get that code and then look up case law for that code, right? So I rolled up on him. I pushed him out the doorway. I talked to him, and then I pushed him out the doorway. I had the legal right to do that. I exercised that legal right. As far as assaults go, it was really low level because I just pushed him out the way. I didn't de-escalate the situation. You have to understand that in these type of situations, trying to de-escalate things or not have a forceful stance, a forceful position, and actually willing to put something behind it, is really seen as a sign of weakness. Like he ain't gonna do nothing, so I can just do what I want. And so I had to let him know that he couldn't do what he wanted. Now, one guy from Philly, I think, left in the comments where he came back. Well, now we're talking about liability. We're not talking about scared. We're talking about liability and how much liability you want to take on. Now, mind you, I didn't know that he had all this assault cases, that he had all this history of battery, and well, that's what it is, battery, and all these previous cases of battery. My only understood is that he sold drugs. Not that I've seen him sell drugs, but he was a part of the Broad Street Boys who I understood to sell drugs. So there's that. So now it comes down to how much liability you want to take on. Well, if we would have gotten to an altercation, I would have got hurt a little bit. He would have got hurt a lot of bit. But how much a bit? That's the question. I wasn't really sure. And it wasn't really so much of a big deal. I got my point across. And believe me, without me doing anything, he really did walk away. Because I wasn't going to back down. And I'm not going to let you sell drugs in front of me, no matter what. I mean, when I got there, they were rolling weed. That's what they were doing. But I'm not going to let you. At that time, I definitely wasn't going to let you sell drugs in front of me. It just wasn't going to happen. And so, I mean, really, that's the breakdown. It really becomes someone trying to impose their will on another person, and for the lack of a better phrase, it became a big dick contest. Who's got the biggest dick? Who's the most dominant? Who's the most powerful? Who can control this situation? Eventually that would be me. And I'm going to tell you right now, after I tasered Shakita Stevens in that doorway, a whole lot of things changed. After that the police came out to investigate Fred after they said that that I pulled the gun on him and he said I pointed a gun at him, a whole lot of things began to change in the mall. I mean, that's just what happened. However, I just wanted to break down this for the critics, for the critics of how I handled that situation. You can't be perceived as weak. I had the legal authority to do that, granted to me by the state of Georgia, per the statute 163-24 and 163-24.2 holds me immune from prosecution. A taser at that time in the view of the state of Georgia, was a less than lethal weapon. There's the tort laws with 51-1-3. Just look up Georgia premise liability tort law, and it'll give you the statute. And so I had all those laws, on my side, which gave me the legal authority to do what I did. That is without question. And that's why I did what I did, because I had previously talked to him before, and he just wasn't paying attention. He was ignoring me. He needed to be moved out the way. I moved him. He came back. I don't know how much liability I need to take on, but people are just everybody's testing the waters. Everybody's positioning themselves. Who's going to do what? Man, what is the word I'm looking for? Everybody's posturing. That's the word I'm looking for. Everybody's posturing. Because you see me talk to Demetrius Goodwin, and I'm asking, do he want some? And he's talking about, I wish you would. I wish you would. That's posturing. Everybody's posturing. We're going to establish what they call a pecking order, a hierarchy. Who's going to be on top? And in my mind, I was going to be on top. And I guess, and I'm subjectively guessing that they thought that they were going to prove to me that there was nothing that I could do about it, and they were going to do what they want. And I don't know, I didn't find that acceptable, and we weren't going to operate that way. So I think I said all I needed to say to address the critics. I'm going to make a short playlist, a 3-video playlist, and then I'm going to put that link in the description box so that you can watch the videos. And so you can have a different understanding. Oh, they're posturing. He's being defiant. He's not paying attention. He has the legal authority to move him. He can do these things. He came back. He doesn't want to take on but so much liability right now. It's not even necessary. And eventually that guy moved off. And then, 6/22, 12/6, 16 days later, he got arrested for really another battery. And he ended up going to prison for a while. Or jail. I don't know. I don't know how long he was gone. But I didn't see him for a year. I didn't see him again until late 2013. So for maybe about a year. So there you go. Oh, and he had previous convictions of a battery and possession with intent to distribute, and he committed felonies. He committed a felony and had been convicted of a felon with a convicted of a crime with a felony with the use of a firearm, and then had been convicted with a felon in possession of a firearm, or at least arrested. But he got convicted of a felony with a firearm, or committing a crime with a firearm, because he got arrested again, a convicted felon with a firearm. So whatever crime that he committed with the firearm, he got convicted of it. So there you go. That's the breakdown. Thank you for listening. I've done all I can do, and it's real late now. So deuces.